Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here. We're back with another black and white game. If this looks familiar, if you're watching my videos in advance, you might notice elodin is indeed using the same exact team he used in my last video. And he was the last black and white game last week and the first one this week. Funny how that works, eh? Well, either way, he is playing Watashi, a very formidable foe, someone who I believe is 1-1 entering this point, having lost week 1 and won week 2, or vice versa. I know he beat Crucify. Either way, elodin is 2-0 going in this, definitely, feeling himself. So I guess it's not too shocking he used the same comfort team. It kind of is a catch-all, and Watashi isn't really one to use like Shell Smash Cloister. Not a huge like Smurf user either. I haven't seen him use like Technician Balloon either. In Volcarona, I mean, yeah, you see it here, and that's definitely one of the problematic Pokemon for the team, but if you look at elodin's matchup, he can actually pressure it really well, given these conditions, and if it's not Giga Drain in particular, he's going to be pretty well off. I guess the big elephant in the room in this game is that Watashi is using a Sun team, and we don't see Sun very often, let alone Sun with Rotom, Wash, and Dragonite. It's a pretty cool adaptation to the team. We got 2 water resists, but no Cresselia. Cresselia normally is one of the main appeals to bring Sun teams. It sits on offense and Sun with Moonlight. This matchup wouldn't really do much for Cresselia though. Nicholas just sits there on it, so interested to see where this will go. I do quite like Watashi's build, all things considered. I am a little curious to see how it'll go here. Yeah. Let me just go ahead and get paused, and we'll get into the team preview in a bit more depth. 1 second, guys. Alright, sorry about that. So yeah, looking at the teams here, I really think the main thing about Watashi is he's got a nice mixture of win conditions. It's clear that Sun alone kind of is in that no man's land right now in the metagame, where it wants to be the anti-meta option, but it doesn't really have the grounds of doing so. So finding a way to make it fit really dynamic win conditions like Dragonite and Volcarona, it's a pretty interesting, I think a pretty effective take on it, but this probably is not the desirable matchup here because he's facing a more durable sand team, way of disrupting weather patterns, of course. There seems to be counterplay to everything on the surface aside from Volcarona, and again, Volcarona can be checked by, chipping down the Xatu, keeping rocks up, preserving the sash on the Zam, especially for the side shock, status, being whirled in at the wrong time, there are a lot of ways. If it's not Bug Jam, Tyranitar can probably do the trick as well, so on and so forth. So, I think the early game positioning is going to play a huge weight here. Watashi should be able to get rocks up with Drill, which is undoubtedly the rocker here, but elodin's hazard setup is pretty stunted early on by Xatu. If it's a U-turn Gliscor though, then U-turn into Tyranitar or U-turn into Nicholas can really open up the game. Another big thing is without Cresselia here, or without Chansey here, the Nicholas of elodin's team kind of just sits there and fires off Psychics and does a lot of damage, even if it doesn't come mind up. You gotta wonder what the real counterplay to Psychic spam is here on Watashi's team, aside from winning with Volcarona before they win. And this is gonna be a game where you can't really, play a short game against elodin's team. You gotta play a longer game. So all of a sudden, I think matchup favors elodin. And if you look at elodin's team, it's the same one as last week. So I'm not going to go over too much, because if you didn't watch that video, watch my last video. I also explained why I was out for the last week without recording and all of that. Oh crap, the music's playing for the battle. I got to turn that off. Good. Okay, yeah. But yeah. So overall, I think elodin's got all the tools to win. I think the right Volcarona set can win for Watashi, but I also don't see Dragonite doing too well. I see Rotom Wash being stunted completely by the Gastrodon, and I see Drill only being good for rocks and nothing else, because it's going to get walled permanently by Gliscor Skarmory. So yeah, let's see if Watashi's got some tricks up his sleeve, or if elodin's going to roll all over him. Right off the bat, we see Drill lead. Unsurprisingly, Gliscor lead for elodin. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I am shocked by this turn 1 in a lot of ways. So first off, let's say elodin goes for rocks there. If elodin goes for rocks there, then all of a sudden, Watashi... You know what? I guess I'm not sure. I take it back, because we saw Drill was quicker. Yeah, I guess it was like offensive Drill then. I mean, the crit sucked, because the crit definitely mattered. But, I guess elodin's play always was to Earthquake. Because if you bait and Xatu, you could just use slow U-turn after. That's fine. As for Watashi, I kind of thought he'd go Xatu just to try and scout the rocks anyway, but I guess he's scared of U-turn into Tyranitar, and he wanted rocks up for the long term anyway. You know what? It was fine. The crit sucked for Watashi. The Earthquake from elodin was smart. Rocks were going to want to go up anyway. It's fine. I mean, the issue is here, your only other psychic resist in this matchup is a Xatu, which can't really touch Reuniclus aside from the rare T-Wave, so it's pretty rough, but I don't blame either play. Yeah, it was fine. You know, is what it is. So right now, I'm assuming we're going to see Ninetales come in and then pivot to Xatu, but he actually just goes hard Xatu. Reveals Nightshade on the Protect. That's okay. That's all you can do, really. Skarm comes in here now. A little surprised to see that switch happening instead of U-turn, but turns out that was actually a great play from elodin because it was HP Xatu. I don't think that's doing more than like 55, 60, but a crit there and the Gliscor's dead. That's a huge problem. So yeah, the Ninetales comes in on a roost, good play. Xatu comes in trying to get the Spice, another good play, you know, mid ground, whatnot. I mean, I guess Ninetales was supposed to get out anyway. You want to get the Xatu in on Gliscor. Yeah, it all makes sense to me. It all makes sense to me, one way or another. Skarmory comes in back in on a Nightshade. I see that elodin is trying to not get things like that invite Dragonite in before he gets, you know, Sand or some hazard up, which makes sense. Nightshade is just bouncing off Skarmory, but you do run on Roosts eventually, so Brave Bird here only does 34. And now here's an interesting play, because if it's somehow like Heat Wave and no U-turn, it would actually just nuke the Skarmory on the spot right here, but elodin doesn't respect that, and I wouldn't either. I mean, I don't think there's any ways like running 3 attack non-U-turns Xatu. It's just the biggest strat in our base. Yeah. Now Reuniclus comes in, and now here's the fun part. You know it's not 2 if you reveal 2 attacks, right? It's got to be U-turns, we said. So you can just attack with Psychic, and look, you're already forcing progress. That's 32% plus a drop. And the Psychic resistance is Xatu, which you just forced out. That's another 50%, and you force him to roar you. And Gliscor comes in. All of a sudden, Gliscor can bait in the Xatu with a U-turn really easily right here. I assume that's what's going to happen. Yeah. And now, look, you've got that freaking same exact momentum. You're in Tyranitar here. And see, that's how you open up the game with elodin. He just felt out the situation. He got his Reuniclus in, which, again, I told you, it might not be a win condition, but it forced pressure, which is huge. And then he played it accordingly. And with Drill Dead, if it was Rockstar, it could have just up there, but no, he got up. He didn't really get the turn right. I actually applaud Watashi for getting the Xatu out of trouble, getting Rotom Washington, but then it's an unfortunate miss from there, trying to nab that Gastrodon. It sucks for sure. And now, you know, it doesn't really switch into Gastrodon either. Volt Switch here made no sense for Watashi for me. Scald there with the burn. It's unfortunate for Watashi, although he does avoid a Toxic, which if you Toxin the Xatu, that sucks. Now there's no reason to Toxic, so it's actually kind of okay. But now Reuniclus is back in, and it's going to have to heal up this turn first and foremost. I get that. But again, the only way to disrupt it is really the Volcarona. And the Volcarona isn't winning outright from this position. So I assume you go hard Gastrodon here. Hard, I look at, wow. That's an interesting play there. And I'm really surprised, because to see if I'm Watashi there, I think I attack first. Because Ty would have taken 2 rocks, right? I think I would have clicked Bug Buzz in the spot there, probably, but I get it. But either way, now here, you probably just click Psyshock. Yeah, you don't want to team with Xatu, and Psyshock, after 2 rounds of sand, leaves it in like range for another round or 2 of sand to take it out. And what you do is you go Gastrodon, and then you probably double into like Skarmory, because you don't need Skarmory too much in this matchup. And from there, you Giga Drain, can't heal anything, and then you kind of just stall at sand turns and it dies. You basically 2 for 1 trade. And then you'd still be in a good position for elodin. But that didn't happen. It just forced it out outright. There's a little dancing around the Alakazam from Watashi, which ends well. We see a Pain Split back in Reuniclus, and we're kind of where we were before. But with the risk taken by elodin, that worked out very nicely. Volt Switch there. Volcarona comes in here now. And you see the big thing here is now Volcarona takes a Psychic. And now it's in Psyshock range. Now it's Crunch range. Now it's in Earthquake range. And now it's in range for another Psychic because of the drop. You see the problem? So now FLCL switches out to get the Ninetales in because Gliscor can eat a +1 from Volcarona and Sand, which is correct. And it was an Earthquake range. But see, here's the issue. Half that Volcarona is now gone. It's not left over, so there's no way it's Rooster, Morning, Sun, or whatever the hell it would run on this team. I highly doubt it's Resto Chesto because that's like a set from 2010. So you've lost half the primary win condition. The secondary win condition, Dragonite, is not going to be breaking Skarmory plus Gastrodon plus Reuniclus with Sash, Ice, Alakazam, and Trent turn to back. So all of a sudden, like, what is Watashi's win path? That's what I don't get. I feel like if you're going to get Vulcan safely twice, you need to find a way for at least to force some form of progress, you know, push the initiative. And part of the issue here for Watashi was that his matchup was really not good. It was, you know, a 20-80 or a 15-85 type of matchup. It was one of those deals where you're like, damn, if Watashi wins this, he's the GOAT type of shit, right? But, like, you know, I feel like there wasn't really an effort made here. I feel like Watashi was okay playing the turn for turn game when he had to take those long-term ambitious risks in the short term to even have a fighting chance. He just didn't do that. He kind of got rolled over. And elodin, all the credit to him, continues to play a steady hand with this balance. Do the right thing, make the right calls, and it worked out very well. Zatu comes in here now. Again on a U-turn. So look, yeah, elodin is just, not taking any risks. He knows that Ninetales isn't going to die. He just goes for U-turn safe. If Ninetales stays in, you can bring Tyranitar anyway, and all of a sudden the Ninetales is low. Yeah, and now crunching into Dragonite. So Dragonite is going to reveal itself to be a sub-DD set, presumably here. He loses the multi-scale already. And now, yeah, you could crunch again there for elodin, because you got Skarmory in the back anyway. Ninetales dies, and it's like, okay, now this is like over. Volcarona does double into the Gliscort and the Sun, and now here's like last chance opening. But Tyranitar comes in to suppress that, which also keeps Sand up, which is smart. Quiver Dance is going to come here now. I assume the Tyranitar is just going to drop to this Bug Buzz here. But now, yeah, Psy Shock is going to do the trick for Alakazam anyway. And that's what I mean. If this is a full health Volcarona here, and you're able to live Psy Shock, and you're doing this earlier, it would be big. And, with Giga Drain, you would be able to potentially live it, even if you took like a little chip. But nah, all the chip, it accumulated to too much. Now tell a team like this, with no real Volcarona counter, the only fire resist died up Bug Buzz and Giga Drain respectively with Tyranitar and Gastrodon, without getting rocks up, is still able to outpressure Volcarona. Watashi just, in my honest opinion, didn't, take any risks, and you got to take those risks here. So that was tough. Rock Stare pretty much ends it. HP Ice also didn't kill, which is kind of funny. This is non-Hydro Rotom Wash in a team with no Excadrill switching. I mean, Sub-Drill would like 6-0 this. I don't understand that either. I mean, at this point, I'm just, beating the dead horse, whatever the saying is. So it's kind of like, whatever. But man, Watashi will get another kill to settle the score a little bit more. But ultimately, I believe the Alakazam just comes up and clean here. It can Side Shock Ice. I'd imagine, so yeah, that's going to do it. elodin, win another game. Yeah, no, good game. It's not Extreme Speed. We saw leftovers before, which means it's definitely not Extreme Speed. And yeah, and that'll be that. Watashi forfeits. It's going to be a decisive 4-0 victory in 40-41 turns for elodin. So yeah, not the best shown for Sun. Kind of faced a nightmarish matchup and kind of got cornered and didn't find a way out of that corner. Tough for Watashi. Obviously still a great player. 4-0 in Black-White without a doubt. But elodin's really been, soaring up. I believe it's up to 3-0 at this point. Tied with me. Spoilers. And Gyarados Gengar. Spoilers. Were the best record through 3 weeks, so major props to him. Really fun. Looking forward to seeing what he brings next week. Yeah, stay tuned, guys. Thank you. Okay, bye.